We're going to be talking about our brand new trademarked method so that you don't miss any part of the personal branding steps, and it's called the STAIR method. It is about stepping up your personal branding game so that you can become an authority and an expert in your market and niche so you can get the recognition and riches you deserve. And now, if you follow this STAIR method, you will get exactly that. So let's start with the first part of the STAIR method. The first one is specialty. You've no doubt heard this before. Everybody who specializes in something becomes special to their ideal customer. So specialty is actually the part of branding that sets you apart. What makes you different? So from a big picture aspect, a great brand should share these things. What makes you different, who you serve, how you serve them, what qualifies you to serve them, and what was the last one? What qualifies you to serve them, and how it makes their life better. There we go. I'll be editing that portion out, right? Just kidding. Okay, so what makes their life better? So the specialty is where we really kind of set you apart, and you can specialize in many different ways. Most of the time, however, we brand someone and help them focus in according to their area of expertise, experience that they may have, attributes, personality traits, things like that. We're going to discuss more of that later. But those are the things we focus on most of the time when we decide how to set somebody apart. And then we build that brand around that specialty. So your brand identifier or tagline is not your brand. It is what we build that brand around, that hook, that one thing that you want to be known for. And specialty is that, what is that makes you different? And that is your focus. That's really what you want to design the rest of your brand around. And every question that you put out there, every answer you put out there should help answer the question of, why are these people seeking me? What is my focus? What is my specialty? So we start there. Okay, and then we'll move into the second one.
Okay, the second one in the STAIR method is training. This is important. Your training is what actually qualifies you to serve your customer. It includes things like your expertise, your education, your certification, your designations, your experience, and your skill sets. Training and displaying those attributes of what gives you credibility. It adds to your credibility for your ideal customer. We've got loads of opportunity to go, right? We've got online platforms that we can go and get training. We've got our continuing education. You know, we all roll our eyes at continuing education, but if you pick the right ones, you can learn a lot about how to help yourself and help designate, find designations that help you to serve your customers better. And then experience, don't forget experience, how many years you've been into business. You know, one of the things that is amazing to me when we work with clients and we go back over like their bio and they say, oh my goodness, I never really quantified all of the experiences that I have that help lead me to where I am today to be important to my customers. And all of that is your training. And that's the next most important thing in the STAIR method, obviously, and you want to display that.
The third one, the A part of the STAIR method, is attributes. And frankly, this is the area that we focus on a whole lot when we brand people. And it's because your attributes are truly unique to you. That is what makes you connect to people on a more human level. So that's where the rapport comes from, the trust and the connection. It's because, as it says on the back of all of our books, people don't do business with a logo, they do business with a person. So those attributes might be some of your personality traits, your character, something about your character, the fact that you're responsive, the fact that you're loyal, you're great attention to detail. It could have something to do with the phase of life you're in and how it's made you the person that you are, or why you're attracting the certain type of clients that you're attracting, your life experiences, your background, and what made you who you are today. Those are a lot of the factors that go into an attribute, which really is kind of setting you apart as a human being. And this is how you serve people. You serve them by being responsive, by being loyal, by knowing their phase of life because you just went through that phase of life, by paying attention to the details, making sure nothing falls through the cracks, by bringing your life experiences to the table to share with them and teach them the things that you know. So a lot of these things come into play, and that's where, frankly, a lot of our focus goes when we brand somebody. And whenever someone is branded strongly according to the attributes or things they bring to the table as a human being, that just makes for a super strong brand, and it doesn't box you into dealing with a specific customer type. You can still narrow those things down in your brand messaging and make sure that the messaging and the image you're putting out there does attract that ideal customer you're seeking to do business with. But this is what actually formulates that whole connection and trust issue, and that's why you see trust on your screen big and bold here. All right, now we're on to the I portion.
Ideal customer. Folks, if you try to help everybody, you will help yourself right out of business. That is one of the Tanya Eberhardt quotes from the book. It is absolutely true. We've seen this happen dozens of times. We've actually seen this happen in our own lives. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old. Probably since I was 12, but definitely in business for myself when I was 16 years old. And you know, it's a hard concept to get in your mind to think, okay, I'm trying to attract all the people that I can, right, to do business with them. I'll take on everybody. But that will absolutely drive you insane. And also, it'll spread you way too thin. We've seen people do this all the time and trying to serve literally everyone that will fog a mirror. And that just doesn't work out. Trust us on this. And, and when this happens, we don't see people get specialized. And that's important, right? So if you're trying to take on all of the customers, who's going to be special? How are you going to get finite on how you do your craft with your ideal customer and make them feel special, right? Which is important, okay? So your entire brand is built to attract an ideal customer. And you don't have to just choose one customer type, although we applaud those that do. Because in time, what you can do is you can get your messaging so perfect to reach out to those people. And every deal that you do is just one more accolade underneath your belt saying, this is why I'm really good at what I do. Sometimes, so finding your ideal customer is a long game, and you need to look at it that way. And I'm not talking a 10-year long game, but you need to look at it like a long game. And then you need to work with as many people as you are working with right now as your short game, right, to fill in those gaps. But you also don't need your short game, your secondary customers, to be everybody. You want to look for an ideal secondary customer. It's very important to look for that ideal customer and devote your marketing to that ideal customer and then learn to be proficient with them.
Michael, I want to add to this. You mentioned, your secondary customer can't be this one and oh yeah, this one and that one too.
Right.
Because we see that. Like when I ask somebody on our strategy sessions, who would be your ideal customer if you could only work with one person the rest of your life? And they would say, well, I really like this, but I also like this, and I do well with these people, and I really get along with these. And it's like, no, stop there. More than two is not a focus. You're spreading yourself way too thin. So yeah, that's a great way to outline the primary versus the secondary. Is they can be people that are closely related, or just somebody who's filling in the blanks till you're growing into that primary customer to the point that 65-70% of your business will be coming from that primary customer moving forward. That's really the goal, is to hone that in so well. And you said it perfectly. The messaging really needs to be on point. That you'll perfect that messaging as you're moving forward with this.
Yes. Okay.
Now we're moving into the final step, no pun intended, of our STAIR method.
Or pun intended.
That's right, or pun intended. So this is the most important to your customer. And that's why developing a brand should showcase all these things about you, because you're able to offer this to them. Results is that how it makes your life better part of the equation. or how it makes their life better, your ideal customer's life better. So all these things you bring to the table, your training, your attributes, the specialty, all of those things you're bringing to the table, they should explain to your customer or give your customer the outcome they're seeking. And those outcomes, I mean, there are just a few listed on this page here. It could be the smooth experience, the smooth transaction you're taking them through that they are so nervous and anxious about going into the process, but you're bringing a whole different experience that gets them to that smooth result that they're looking for. It could be that you're helping them avoid complications and delays throughout the process. These are just a few of the things that your brand will accomplish and communicate to help your ideal customer understand how what you do and what you have to offer will make their life better. So we'll sum these up one last time. The STAIR method is specialty, what makes you different. Training, what qualifies you to serve people. Attributes is how you serve them, in what ways. Your ideal customer is exactly who you serve. More than two is not a focus, reminder. And then finally, results is how what you do and what you provide makes their life better. And if you go through this checklist and really thoughtfully put your answers to work here, you will create a standout brand that will get you that recognition and riches you deserve. And so I would like to speak just for a moment on, some people may have this question, and Michael, I want you to think about this too. I'm going to let you take the richest part of this, and I'll take the recognition part of this. So I'm going to explain to you why building a personal brand can bring you such recognition, and you can explain why it brings them such riches, okay? So the recognition part comes from when you have a very clear defined purpose and direction laid out for you, and that is expressed through a personal brand that's put out there for the world to see. It's in the photos taken of you that resonate with, you know, your personality and what helps you stand out. It's the imagery behind you. It's all of these things that set you apart, and it's saying, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I make your life better. Now, I want to say this, there are some amazing marketing tools out there. Almost every one of them works as long as your ideal customer's on the other end. The training platform or tool you've been blaming all along, probably not their fault, right? It's probably the way you're using it, and that has a lot to do with your brand as well. The coaches and trainers, we are big supporters of coaches and trainers, and there are some fantastic ones out there. But really, it's not their job to differentiate you. It's their job to show you how to use the tools and the systems that they have in place. But it's not their job to show you how to use those tools and systems differently so you stand out from all the other people that are using those same tools and systems. So that's not their job. They don't do what we do. So I just wanted to touch on that once you get this brand developed, you become recognized for capturing that niche, for being known for that hook or that one big thing, right? And once you get known for that, it's so much easier for your customers to identify with you and connect with you instantly. I want to say we had a webinar just a few weeks ago where a young lady from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, gets on the phone with us. She's in our program. She had just received her brand identifier, so she knew her brand. She hadn't done anything else yet. She was brand new, so she was working on the messaging for the brand, which is what we do first, but she hadn't done anything else. And she said, you know, guys, I've been keeping my eye on these clients, but I hadn't really thought about, I wanted to approach them, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know exactly what to say that would be any different from what anybody else was saying to them. And then you guys talked with me and gave me my brand. You gave me my brand identifier, and she said instantly everything fell in place and I knew exactly what I was meant to do. That's before she ever touched her brand messaging, her brand imagery. None of that was done. And it's because the moment you begin to define yourself and figure out that direction and that brand, then you begin to think differently. You have different conversations. You answer the phone differently. You send emails differently. Everything about your mindset changes, and it gives you the confidence to finally set yourself apart. Now, I talked forever on that, but I think that's really, really important to tie into why this STAIR method is so important. Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about what everybody really wants to talk about is the riches that come from setting yourself apart. I'll let you have the glory here.
Right. The almighty dollar. No, what happens, it's very funny, folks. So what happens when you start to identify the ideal customer and go after that ideal customer? And again, as we taught you, it's a little bit of a long game, a longer game. You're not going to, I liken it to walking out of one room and into another, right? When you find the ideal customer, you don't just walk into the room, flip a switch, and now all your ideal customers are there. It is a process. It doesn't take forever. But we call it a long game because it is something that you got to set your mind to and then move forward in. And then when you do, what ends up happening is you end up, your messaging ends up attracting that ideal customer. Then when you work with that ideal customer, who is that ideal customer going to be hanging out with? Other people just like them, right? We're all birds of a feather, right? We all have our friends, and our friends, although all human components are the same, like we all have the same emotions inside, we're all the same, right? All of our blood runs red, like we have the same fears and the same imaginations and the same desires, like we're all the same, right? But we have these little bitty nuances that make certain groups hang out together, and we all have that. We can all identify with that. Well, when you start attracting that ideal customer, when they refer you, they're referring you to people that are just like them, because that's the people that they're hanging out with. And you begin to build this synergy, and this synergy becomes a magnet, and people want to be a part of that, and they're attracted to it. And just like the law of attraction, you're thinking about the ideal customer. Well, guess what? The ideal customer, whether they understand it completely or not, are also seeking your service. And then when you use a STAIR method like that to set that up and make your messaging clear to them, then a lot of your legwork is already done. And you start hearing things like, oh, I looked you up on the internet and I really want to do business with you. I just sort of like your acumen. I like the messaging that I read in your website or on your social media. And so I want to do business with you. And you're going to find that person is the same as the ideal customers that you're attracting, because that's the messaging that is out there. And then when that begins to happen, then obviously, then you setting a path and moving towards that path, the money is going to follow. It absolutely will. If you focus on the money, it's going to grow feathers and fly away. But if you focus on the ideal customer, they're going to help you build your business, because you're so good at taking care of that ideal customer. And it works. I promise you it works. And it's been working for me for, unbeknownst, before I got with BrandFace, it worked for me for 25 years, just because I have the ability to sort of just, focus in on what I need to do. When I started working with BrandFace, though, totally changed everything. And now my ideal customers are coming to me. And it makes all the difference in the world. So we really encourage you to follow these STAIR methods in your branding and go after those ideal customers.
Here's your reminder to download the STAIR method worksheet and complete it. You'll be using it in the next module too. Once you complete that worksheet, move ahead to the next video in this module.